We are here with our Mike and Mike's Off-Air podcast. You are, obviously, wherever you are. Mike Pesto.
Mike O'Neill over here.
And we're waving at you if you're watching on YouTube. Or actually online at my975fm.com. We have it right there for you as well. Would love it, though, if you hit like and subscribe, hit that thumbs up. Make sure whenever you get we put out a brand new video, you'll be the first to get it, and tell all your friends.
Man.
So are you ready for next week?
I'm not exactly sure how to be ready for next week. I mean, what's not happening next week? We've got what? We've got Tulare County Fair for sure. That's 5 days of that.
Yep, starting Wednesday.
The 9/11 blood drive, I know for sure.
On Wednesday.
You don't know this, but I'm DJing a birthday party on that Friday, and I got nothing to do.
And technically, if you look at a calendar, Sunday is the first day of the week, and dun-dun-dun-dun,
yes,
dun-dun-dun-dun, football is back. Regular season starts this Sunday, and just so happens to be my son's birthday.
And that'll be fun. You guys, I'm sure, will go out and do the Wild Wings.
That's probably where we'll end up, although it's always jam-packed the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season because everybody's team is still in it. Everyone starts off with a 0-0 record, and then your team starts losing a few games, and it's like, okay, time to start watching basketball.
It's like the gym in January.
Exactly. That's a great way of looking at it.
By about March, I think I'm done.
So your Niners went to the Super Bowl last year. I know it's a sore subject, and that you were the second best team last year.
That's
Kansas City winning 2 years in a row.
I'd love to be able to say something bad about them. I just can't. They're a good football team.
Yeah,
they really are. Good quarterback.
The Swifts.
Good, yeah, right. The good tight end. Speaking of which, we have
super fan.
We have we have an incredible tight end in Kittle. I mean, we've got a great team. We just didn't win, and hoping with the team we have this year that we will indeed. So we'll have to see. It'll be nice to see first strings now. It's been weird watching. Oh, this is what we're the third string, I think, right now. I don't know any of these guys, but 3 weeks we'll know what's up.
Exactly. So I spent some time talking about it, but you're a fan of the Niners, obviously. Did you hear about, I can't remember which player it was, that was shot?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you probably followed it a little bit more than I did. All I know is that, and this is what I heard, and kind of listening to a few stations past few days, sports talk stations, and kind of reading a little bit about it. I forget where he was. It was somewhere in San Francisco. The bullet entered his torso, exited his torso.
He's so lucky it was a through and through, man.
Yeah. And
so lucky.
Didn't hit any major organs, obviously. Walked, I believe, to the closest police station and basically said, I think I've been shot.
I got a hole in me. You got somebody can check on that?
I mean, we can laugh a little bit because he's going to survive. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be playing on Sunday. If he is, that would be something. Talk about a finely tuned athlete.
No, I think he's going to be recovering from the hole's a hole, and that takes a minute. I mean, I know from surgery, as soon as you have it, and you too, as soon as you have a hole in you, you can't lift anything heavier than 5 pounds for a while. It kind of messes you up.
What position player is he? He's a rookie, isn't he, I believe?
To be perfectly honest, I can't remember.
Okay.
I just remember I kind of know who he is. And he was shopping and got shot? Really? Boy, I'm not going shopping anymore.
I'm not going to San Francisco anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
It happened in downtown San Francisco, Union Square, I believe. If anyone knows for certain, especially if you're watching on YouTube, if you could in the comments let us know who the player was, his position, and where it was. From what I understand, at least in one of the reports that I read, he was targeted not because anyone thought he was a San Francisco 49er, but because they saw the Rolex watch on his wrist, and they went after that. And then, I mean, you never want to blame the victim in a situation like this, but you kind of are in a situation now where you can't wear nice things out in public anymore.
That's awful, though, isn't it? You've earned this status. You've earned this ability. And I'll just leave it at home on my dresser because I might get jacked. Man, that is awful, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's real, but it's awful.
I had a Christmas gift years ago and as it turned out, it was a watch that appreciated in value. If you get lucky, if you know a little bit about watches, you can sometimes get one for a couple $100 that ends up appreciating in value over the years. And I have one that's done that. I never want to wear it now.
I know.
With things like this happening.
I have a Swiss watch. My wife and I both have them. I can't think of the name of the company. Starts with a W. It's fairly well known, but I can't remember my own name half the time. And it has diamonds at the hour places.
Wow.
I got it from here.
Okay.
I got it at a Christmas party here years and years and years and years ago. We won the gift exchange thing.
Oh, yeah.
Both watches went around twice. My wife and I ended up with both of them, much to the dismay of the salesperson who actually traded them out from the jewelry store and thought she and her husband were going to get them. Not so much. So we have those. And, yeah, this watch is worth some cashola now. I wouldn't wear it anywhere.
You can't,
No.
unfortunately. With things like that happening, you can't do it, unfortunately.
Nope.
But as far as the team is concerned, what are your hopes for the Niners down a player going into the season opener Sunday?
I think
actually Monday the Niners play.
Yeah, we're on Monday, as Sean's been telling me for the last 5 days. My very, 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 very rabid sports fan son, and I think we're gonna. I have high hopes. I think we're gonna do. I think we'll probably do pretty well. I mean, we've got a good team. They did play. They did play Brock quickly a little bit. Yeah, boy's still there. They finally signed Ayuk. It only took forever and all the money in the world. And so we've got our team. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see. I mean, I'm hoping we're going to do like we did last year, only let's win that last game.
Now, there were two holdouts from what I understand. There was Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver, and there was a defensive player as well, I believe, that just signed just as camp was breaking and they're getting ready for the actual first game of the season for the Niners coming up on Sunday, but I can't remember his name now.
And I'm sorry to say I can't either, but it's hilarious because, boy, they know how to make that work, don't they?
And that was what I wanted to ask you. Do you think it was a contract holdout for more money, which Ayuk had said he wanted more, but...
It's absolutely no doubt that's why Brandon was holding out.
But is it also, do you think, they know what's involved with training camp? I mean, sure... Maybe they don't want to wake up as early, but they will take care of themselves. They will make sure that they're physically fit, ready to go day one. They don't need to practice with the quarterback because they had a great chemistry last year. Do you think it's because of he's proved himself at this point?
I don't know. That's a little bougie for me. I hope not.
I'll almost say that absolutely is the case, especially if you're a player on his level, where you've proven yourself already. Now you get to a contract year, and I'm sure they're thinking listen, I don't want to have to go to training camp. I want to sleep in my own bed, wake up with my wife, see my kids. I will put the work in. I will do what I need to do to make sure I'm a finely tuned machine when the first game kicks off. But I know all the guys. I'm good with this. I'll be ready to go.
But is that all of it?
No, not all of it.
Is team building important? Being out there and being one of the guys. Oh, I'm too good to be out here. Is sort of the not said part of that equation. You guys need this. I'm good. I'll come play when it's Sunday. I don't know. I don't think I like that. Well, I hope not.
I don't like it either, but it wouldn't surprise me. Remember Allen Iverson years ago? We're talking about practice here. We're talking about practice.
But still.
Basically, what the preseason is you're practicing for the regular season. Again, if you've already have that chemistry, and you very, very rarely, if ever, hear coaches get on players for that reason. I think there's some understanding with the players' union. This is just something we don't talk about, that players in contract years will hold out not only for more money, but even if the money is right, it's, I do like my Tempur-Pedic, so I'm going to sleep in my bed as opposed to whatever accommodations they set up for the players in those situations.
Be interesting to find a way to get the real deal on that.
Yeah, you'd almost have to wait for a player that did it to retire and one that really has no issue throwing stuff out and say, yeah, that's exactly what. Have you ever gone to training camp?
You're not wrong.
Hell no. I'm just staying home, do what I got a gym in the basement. I've got I forget what it's called, the machine that throws the passes to you. I've got one of those if I'm a wide receiver or a tight end. So yeah, I did my own thing, and I came to camp when I was ready to start playing football games that matter, like you said.
So we've talked a lot about the Niners. How do your Bears look?
They are going to make the playoffs this year. There's my bold prediction.
Wow.
I don't know if they'll necessarily win their division. They're in a tough division with the Detroit. I can't believe I'm actually saying this out loud, but they're in a tough division with the Detroit Lions. Yes, the team that's been the laughing stock, along with the Jets and several other teams for years now. They're pretty good. But the Bears defense, statistically last year, the last 4 or 5 games of the year, had the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they spent their first pick, number 1 overall, on the best quarterback out there, Caleb Williams, quarterback from then the USC Trojans, now the Chicago Bears. They've got 3 elite wide receivers. One of them they got in the draft, so he's got to prove himself yet. But offensively, they've taken some steps forward. Defensively, they're right where they were last year.
Well, Brock Purdy showed that, you often think, oh, he's brand new. It's going to take a while. Didn't take Brock 5 minutes, and he hit his stride. Who's to say Caleb won't do that?
Yes, C.J. Stroud, quarterback for the Texans last year, was a rookie that, for those that know the game well, they weren't all that surprised by how well he did. The fact is that he maintained the ability that he had throughout the entire season. He got incrementally better. He never took that rookie step back that a lot of rookies do. They'll have a couple flashes where they look great and then a couple games where you can tell, okay, obviously there's a learning curve here. He never had that. It was just one good game followed by a great game followed by a, oh my goodness, game.
Well, I hope for your sake and all the Bears fans that this quarterback is able to find his legs and his direction quickly.
Yeah, he was one of those players that I remember his junior year, or the last year that he played for U.S., or second to last year that he played with USC. He won the Heisman Award that year. He was the one that you saw pop up on nationally syndicated TV commercials. Because now, and I want to ask you about this too, so we can kind of segue onto it. College football players can now get paid. And well, actually all college athletes, because there are some female soccer players that have done that as well. How do you feel about it before I tell you how I feel about it?
Obviously, I'm conflicted. It's... In the final analysis, either you're a pro or you're not, and that's when when you're at school, you should be at school, and that's where you are. Even if school's not your goal while you're there, even if football is your goal and getting through to it, hitting the pros, I just think it should be completed first.
I want to feel that same way as well, but I know how much some of these programs make.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Notre Dames of the world.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about the Michigans, the Ohio States, the USCs, and they make money hand over fist, and the athletes are like, the only reason this 100,000-seat stadium has any bodies in it is because of what I'm doing on the field, and they're selling to the point where they start selling jerseys with the player's name on the back of it. Maybe that's a great place for it to have started. Say, listen, if you're going to sell a jersey with someone's name on the back, that player should get something for that, not just the scholarship.
I can see them getting a cut from that. That makes sense. But if all of a sudden that they have 3, what are they called? Not sponsorships, 3
endorsements.
All of a sudden 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna change the game.
Yeah, and I don't know how it all works. Again, if you happen to know and you're watching, comment below. But is it they have the ability to make money? Like, say, Subway comes to them and says, hey, we want Caleb Williams, while he's still playing for USC, to be the face regionally of Subway. So that's extra money he's making. But at the same time, the school is still bringing the money in because of Caleb Williams. Or does the school have to start putting money into a pool for some of those players to help with some expenses? 'Cause that's where I would really like to see some of the money help out, is those players that aren't getting the full ride scholarships, but they're still putting every bit of themselves into what takes place in that field. Granted, maybe they're not the best athlete, but gosh darn it, they're out there on the field as well with the Caleb Williams.
And it's so expensive to be in school. Oh. It's crazy now. I mean, that used to be back in the day. I'm class to give it a timeline. I'm class of '76 high school wise.
Uh-huh.
When I was going to college, you could go to college and work full time, and get your homework done, and make money. You can't do that anymore. The load alone is more than they can handle, and college is too much to be able to afford like that anymore. You just can't do it anymore. My kids pointed it out to me. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, it is.
It's a whole new world, and it's so expensive.
I don't know how I did it going to San Francisco State and first living on campus and then living off campus, and then the textbooks as well. I would imagine a lot of times now it's not so much the textbooks anymore, but them having Chromebooks. I know in school, my son has a Chromebook that was lent to him by the school district. Same situation with my daughter who's going to a new school here in Visalia Unified School District. She has a Chromebook that is being lent to her for this year, and she'll get another one next year. Because a lot of the lesson plans, everything comes on the Chromebook. Yeah. So I would imagine I would assume at least that the same situation goes for college. There may be some books that they have to get, but a lot of stuff is all done digitally now.
God, you heard the timeline. When I went to college, my first year of college, I was astounded what books cost.
Oh.
Absolutely astounded. And I learned very quickly that first year to buy used books.
Yes.
Thank God for used books. Not too used. Wait, page 35, 37, and 39 are missing. That's not going to help. But if it's just gently used and it's half the price, let's do that.
Yeah, I learned,
and sell them back at the end of the
year. Yes, I learned very early on going to San Francisco State. I would go to the school's bookstore, so I get the syllabus, see what textbooks I needed, go to the school bookstore, look and see. Okay, there was another bookstore that wasn't tied to the campus, but was an independent bookstore right across the street, literally.
That's funny.
So you cross the street, you go over there, you see if you can't find a couple of them cheaper. If you can, get them there. If not, you go back to the school bookstore because you get a student discount and do it that way.
It would be nice if the money they could make could defray those kinds of costs.
Yeah,
I think I would be for that.
Yeah. So I know it's something that's just happened within the past 2 or 3 years. And I think Caleb Williams, as we were talking about, was the first athlete that had commercials that were seen nationally because once he won the Heisman Trophy, he just became the darling. In fact, it was going to USC, so in Southern California, a city that knows how to market itself rather well. So that's, I think, one of the main reasons why you may have seen him in a couple commercials, and now you see him in a Bears uniform.
There you go. There you go. Fair's coming. Favorite fair foods?
If I can find it this year. I don't know if I saw it last year, although I talked to Dina Rizzardo. There's going to be a lot more food options at the fair this year, so I hope they bring this back. As odd as this sounds, Chinese food at the fair, especially the deep-fried egg roll. I mean, the huge one that looks like a burrito-sized egg roll on a stick. If there's some way that's there once again, but even just the chow mein and things like that.
There wasn't anything Asian last year? Because there
not
usually
that
is.
I saw.
There usually is.
Now, maybe it wasn't in a place where I was able to find it. That and I didn't see it last year. Not saying it wasn't there, but I never saw it. The corn on the cob station that they had in years past. It usually was right on the corner across from where we were always broadcasting from, the garden stage area.
Now, was that corn on the cob, like corn and butter, or was it the Hispanic elote with the different?
Well, they gave you the option because they had the grill there. They would literally just hand you the corn, the stalk pulled to the side, so you're kind of holding on to that, and then they had a flavoring station, if you will. So that you could put the butter on it. You could put garlic salt. You could put pepper. I mean, they had the whole array of accoutrement there that you could kind of sprinkle on, dip in, whatever you wanted.
I'd be down with that just as surely, and I'm sure it's not going to happen, as I would be down with a baked potato station with all that kind of. See, that would be awesome, but that would be way too much to keep up outside hot. But I would love it.
I know the Mid-State Fair in Paso, they have typically some of the more unique foods, like the deep fried Twinkie wrapped in bacon on a stick. And deep fried things just belong at fairs. So again, I have heard from Dina there are going to be a lot more food options this year. They may have some of those novelty foods that some of the other fairs throughout California have.
Well, Mr. Predictable over here will definitely get my very large corn dog. They're not much to them. They're pretty simple. They're pretty basic. But why are they so darn good? I just don't know.
And the acts this year for the fair as well. A lot of country acts, obviously, there always are.
Good.
But Smash Mouth
Yeah.
going to be there Friday night on the 13th. And Paul Delisle, who is the only original band member still with the group, bassist, I am going to be talking with him next week.
That's awesome.
About obviously what the guys are doing now. One of the things I definitely want to bring up to him is I think when I think of summer groups, Smash Mouth is one of two groups I always think of whenever I think about summer. I'm going to date myself with the other one, Oingo Boingo. So I just want to kind of roll that past him to see if he gets that, because their songs. Walking on the Sun was their first huge hit that they had. I know they came out of San Jose. In fact, I believe, I'm going to ask him about this, that there was a radio station in San Jose. Sometimes radio stations, we can still discover artists. Got a hold of the song before anyone else was playing it, played it. I believe a radio station in Los Angeles got wind of what the station in San Jose was doing. They started playing it based on those two stations. Smash Mouth got a record deal out of it, and then next thing you know, they blew up.
Yeah, that very, very large. Although virtually no original band members, still great songs. I'm sure the touring band is very, very good, and it'll be a lot of fun. All the songs so recognizable. Country acts I'm looking forward to, actually.
And I talked with Dina Rizzardo about this, just the timing on the fair opening this year on 9/11.
Yeah.
And having Daryl Worley be there that night with Have You Forgotten?
No, Daryl, we haven't.
There will not be a dry eye in the house. I'd be surprised if he doesn't do that one twice.
And Daryl has a great relationship with our K-Jug station here. He was where Jugfest all started years ago, and when that didn't happen right and got rained out, he actually showed up the next year over at the big POV giant room at what is now not the Holiday Inn, which is now the Wyndham.
Okay.
And did a great show over there to make up for it.
Wow.
That's how cool a guy he is.
I met him once, a different radio station I worked at in the Salinas Valley. We did an event every year. We would get a busload of listeners, and we would go to Las Vegas and stay at one of the hotel casinos there that actually had a broadcast center in the casino. And we culminated the whole trip with a show from some artists that we had come by. And one year we had Daryl Worley pop in, and he could not have been more gracious.
Yeah.
All the time that you and I both spent on country stations, I can't think of a single artist that seemed like they thought they were too big for their britches.
No, he's just that way. He came by once also, and he had a new record out or something. It was, how they have the radio tours.
Yeah.
He came by, and he was just launching the new record, and because it was happening that day, they were at our station, and we'd met before, and he goes, "Could you do me a favor? Could we knock out a bunch of liners for all the other stations, and you send them to my promoter, and I'd really appreciate it." I did it, no problem. Didn't think twice about it. Took about 20 minutes, got it done, and didn't think a thing about it until a week and a half, 2 weeks later, when a basket showed up at my house, wrapped up nice with 3 or 4 different kinds of good coffee and little snacks in it. From Daryl, thanks so much. Thanks for the help. See you again soon.
Uh-huh.
They don't all do that.
No, I would say 99% don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to be courteous and kind and gracious in the building, but to remember that afterwards and to do something like that, most people don't do that. To say anything of artists that have the perception of being coddled and taken care of to the point that they feel as though they expect all that, don't get that from from an artist, especially in that genre.
But that's why he's still around, I think. One of the reasons he's still, well, of course, his catalog doesn't hurt either. It's got quite a few great songs. We've also got, God, now I can't think of his name. I've been watching you, man.
Rodney Atkins.
Love that song. That song is literally about me and my son, Sean. Every time he hears that, because he was all camoed out when he was a kid. And as a result, I would wear more camo than I normally would have, just so I could be wearing it with Sean. And every time we hear that song, he just looks at me like, right, right. And he'd say those things. I'm going to eat all my food and get big, just like you. So I get a little mushy when I think about it. But I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And my wife wants to see Nate Smith.
Okay.
She thinks he's pretty good.
Saturday, if I remember, he's going to be there.
Bulletproof. Banana. Good stuff.
I have a funny Rodney Atkins story. Years ago, again, when I was working at a country station in Peoria, I had a chance to get backstage with my then morning show partner. But my wife wasn't able to. I can't remember if we only had the backstage passes for him and I, or she had something else going on. She couldn't get to the concert early. But we got backstage. We met him. Again, could not have been nicer. Was gracious with all the listeners that got backstage as well. And I just, in talking with him, we were just talking about a bunch of things, and I forgot to mention, just in passing, that my wife was pregnant at the time, just as a conversational thing. And when I caught up with her before the show, she actually asked me, "Did you tell him that we're pregnant?" Like he's a friend of ours or something.
Right.
You get that relationship with him. And I said, "No, I didn't, but I have an idea." And I saw where we were sitting for the concert, and we were close enough that I knew if the lights were just right, because sometimes they'll turn up the house lights for the artist to see everybody,
Right.
that if he came over, he might be able to see us and we could wave and get his attention. And sure enough, he came over while the house lights were up, and I forget how we gestured, but showed my wife's belly a little bit without actually pulling up a shirt or anything, and I kind of pointed. In retrospect, he got it. He seemed like got a big expression of happiness on his face.
Thumbs up, yeah.
But I thought for a second, do you think maybe for a moment he thought we were insinuating that the kid was his? Maybe that's not something we should have done.
I'm pretty sure you would have had a different look on your face.
It would have been a thumbs up. It would have been like, "No, not mine."
No, it would have been like a waving fists at that point, not the... Oh, man.
So, yeah, be careful when you try to get an artist's attention when they're on stage.